This is Quick Clip Lesson 2.02, the atom. And the first thing you should understand about the atom is that it is an example of how scientific knowledge grows from one scientist to the next, to the next, to the next. And it's an evolution of information. It's an evolution of knowledge. And so it goes way back to the ancient Greece times where Democritus came up with the idea of the atom as being the smallest particle of matter. Many years later, Dalton came up with his, the first main atomic theory that elements are pure substances made up of all the same types of atoms. And so at this point, our atomic model is kind of like a billiard ball, right? Just a sphere. After Dalton comes Thomson, and Thomson discovered the electron, and his model was one of a positively charged atom with electrons scattered all around it, and it's often called the plum pudding model, and it's often referred to as kind of like raisin bread, where the raisins are scattered through the bread. Next comes Rutherford, and Rutherford identified the nucleus. He had a very famous experiment where he discovered the central part of the atom, naming it the nucleus, and it was surrounded by a huge amount of empty space where the electrons resided. And then finally we get to Niels Bohr, where his model is the model that I think many people are accustomed to seeing, especially in textbooks, where we have the nucleus in the middle and the electrons surrounding it, just like in previous models. But in Bohr's model, the electrons are in a planetary arrangement, just like planets orbiting the sun, and they're arranged in different energy levels. Now we come to the different parts of the atom. Here we have an atom, and the first particle we should be aware of are the protons. The protons identify the element. So here, the red spheres are the protons. There are 3 of them. Looking at the periodic table, you see that lithium has the atomic number of 3. The atomic number tells us how many protons are in that element. Every atom in the universe with only 3 protons is a type of lithium. Also, protons have a positive charge. They're found in the nucleus. They identify the atom. They are a positive charge. Next, we have the electrons. Electrons are on the outside of the atom. They have a negative charge, and they are so small that they have almost 0 mass. And so when we're talking about the mass of the atom, the electrons do not play a part. Finally, we have the neutrons. The neutrons are also in the nucleus along with the protons, and they have a neutral charge. So they're not positive or negative, but they do have a lot of mass. So in order to figure out the mass of an atom, you look at the number of protons and you add the number of neutrons, and then you get the mass of the atom. So in this case, we have lithium, which has 3 protons. It has 4 neutrons in that nucleus. So altogether, it has a mass of 7. And that is represented by the bottom number of in the periodic table. And again, remember that electrons are negative, but they also do not have any mass. So the only mass of the atom is found in the nucleus and is made up of protons and neutrons.